Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a species spotlight on this adorable miniature Lepanthes tentaculata. It's growing amazingly where I have it right now, and it seems to love my setup. So today I wanted to share my cultural routine so that if others are having difficulty growing this species, hopefully I can help them out. Okay, so I brought the plant a little closer just so you can have a better look at it. As you can see, it's got tons of these beautiful round leaves. Probably one of my favorite things about this plant are these reticulations that you can see on the leaf here. Yeah, they're just very attractive. The contrast is really good on this plant specifically. It's not too smudged out. Second thing I really like are these tiny little flowers here. Let's see if I can zoom in. But to me, let me try to stop shaking my hand. Okay, that's not gonna work. So to me, these look kind of like little flies. And honestly, it looks like it's standing on a stage or something, with all these red lines pointing towards sort of the middle of the leaf. So when I first received this plant, it was in really rough shape. Had maybe 2 to 3 leaves left on it after the second day, but it had a bunch of very viable roots, so I didn't lose hope, and I grew it on this piece of tree fern. It's been about a year, and you can see how these roots have just taken over the tree fern. They've grown straight through. This plant is super happy, and you can tell by the extensive root system that it has. So that's sort of the one thing that I really try to look for when I'm importing plants from far away is does it have a viable root system? Because it may have several healthy leaves, but if the root system is crap, your plant's probably going to die. On the other hand, if you have a ton of healthy roots and not that many viable leaves, from my experience, those plants are more likely to survive in the long term. Alright, so I'll say a few things about my culture. First thing is very important. I keep this thing under moderately bright filtered light. And this plant is very quick to tell you when it's light stressed, because if you look at these new leaves here, they got this nice reddish tinge to them here. After that leaf begins to mature, it should turn green, like these older leaves down here. If it stays red, chances are that leaf will not survive, and it'll eventually turn very pale, very limp, and just fall off. I've had this happen a couple times, and so it reacts very quickly to light too. So you got to catch it within the week probably, or you risk damaging the leaves. Also, even if the leaf does survive, it won't look good where it has that light damage. Alright, next I'll show you how I water it, and pay close attention to the leaves, because something really special happens when they're wet. So I just take this misting nozzle and I just kind of spray the leaves, and then I spray the substrate. I see it dripping down here. You can see at the bottom right here there's a couple drips. That means the moss is saturated, can't really hold any more water. The tree fern is saturated too, can't hold any more water, and I keep it pretty wet. You can tell by the dark color of the tree fern. On another note, look at what happened to the leaves after I sprayed it with water. That's something that I'm still amazed by every time I do it. It makes those reticulations pop so much more. Fertilizer, pretty much the same deal. I have 2 forms of fertilizer. I have a mixture, a very dilute mixture of kelp and kelp-based fertilizers, in which I dilute to 1/8 of the recommended dosage on the package, and then that I kind of just spray the plant whenever I want to, whenever I feel like it. And the other thing I use is this is just kelp. It's a 111 kelp-based fertilizer, and so I have it in this little wash bottle here. This is a little stronger than my 1/8 dilution, and this I just apply directly to the root ball. Once it starts dripping, then I stop. The other fertilizer, I just spray it all over the leaves. So let me actually get the fertilizers for you. So a lot of people have personal preference for their mixes. This is just what I use. It's not what you have to use, and it's just what works for me. So just use what works for you. So I use this Eco Living's Liquid Seaweed NPK 111, and then I use also Marfil. And I know I said just now I do a 1/8 dilution, but I'm not sure if this is actually 1/8 dilution. I put 3 mils of each solution into approximately 500 mils of water, and then I fill up my mister based on that. This one here is, I think, 5 mils of the kelp only for this half-liter bottle. So this, yeah, and like I just said, this is just what works for me. You can fertilize so many different ways. Just do what works for you. And I guess the point of this video is, what if what you're doing is not working for you? Here's what I'm doing, and you can try it out. And I should mention that all of my dilutions I make with reverse osmosis water, and I think you should use either reverse osmosis or distilled water as well. When I water my plants, I also only use reverse osmosis. Another option is to use rainwater, but depending on where you live, there could be varying degrees of acidity in your rainwater, so check that before you water your plants, because you don't want it to be too acidic. Alright, and the last thing is lighting. So I have this sort of white foam here, this is the base, over the entire top of the tank, and that is the first sort of diffuser. These plants like diffuse light or shade, and so if the light is too bright, I said earlier, you'll just kill all the leaves. And to create shade, if this is too bright, I just kind of add various semi-transparent, translucent plastic things until the plant no longer seems light stressed. So one final thing I wanted to mention before I close off this video is that this is a more warm tolerant Lepanthes. However, I do grow it in this is my sort of intermediate cool setup. It has day temps of 24 Celsius and night minimums of 14 degrees Celsius. So take what you want from that. You know, some Lepanthes can be super temperature sensitive, but I found that this one does pretty well in intermediate conditions. I did have it at 23 days and 20 nights previously, and it grew fine. So honestly, just do what works for you, but be mindful that a lot of Lepanthes do like some colder temps. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this quick little video on how I grow Lepanthes tentaculata, and I'll see you in the next video.